Hello, Deep Mindfulness Collective. This right here, right now, is the joy of being a live stream coming to you live from Brooklyn, New York. If you're joining us, well, actually, you can't be joining us anywhere other than twitch.tv/deep mindfulness because we are not broadcasting anywhere else anymore. Very exciting, folks. This is our first time in a long time that we have changed our streams so that we are only broadcasting on Twitch. The reason for this is that, well, there's myriad reasons, but we're here now. Folks, lovely to see you here. Great to be here with you. What on earth is happening? Let's see if all of our systems are working. Let me know if anything is weird today, because we're actually, the delay time should be down. That's one reason why we want to broadcast directly to Twitch. Hello, folks. Yeah, what's new? What is going on? What's the haps? And especially, most importantly, where are you coming from? Just drinking my breakfast matcha here. And yeah, having a nice time. Folks, we're going to be practicing for 25 minutes today, and then we're going to jump into your questions, all of your deep burning questions. But until then, I'm curious where you're coming from. I myself am here. I mentioned that. Not only did I mention it, but it's printed right here on the screen. I'm right here in Brooklyn, New York, having a lovely time, having a lovely day, and excited to be here with you. I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons tonight, so that's good. That's been delayed for quite some time. I've had this group that we meet every other week, and if by every other week, it technically means like every other month. Good day or evening from Brooklyn. Well, since this is a live stream, it is definitely still the day. Although maybe you're talking to the fine people watching this on playback. Where can you watch the playback? Well, it's youtube.com/deepmindfulness2, the number 2. All right, folks. Excellent. Turbulent joining us. Thank you so much for being here. Turbulent, let me know if anything is wonky on the stream, since today is our first day streaming directly to Twitch with no mitigating factor. Oh no, Turbulent, I just realized I'm not streaming to YouTube, so the playback is going to have to be done manually. So that's an issue. Okay, we have to figure that out. Our new playback system, because we're not streaming to YouTube. So, folks, sit back, relax, find a nice, comfortable position. This is where we'll play our posture video that we'll create someday. Good morning from Kingston, Ontario. Rory, great to see you here. Glad you're able to join us here. Rory is Rory, aside from making hilarious musical parody and tribute songs, I actually don't know what you do. Maybe that's the next question we should be asking people. What do you do? I've heard that's a very New York question. Like in other places, you don't really ask people what they do. But here you definitely do. You're like, hey, how are you? What do you do? Lovely. Nick joining us from Karlstad. Finally back at home. First day at the office. Lovely. Glad to hear you're back at the office. Finally, that place is going to hold itself together. Annie joining us from Topanga, California. Topanga Canyon. Is Topanga and Topanga Canyon the same thing, or is Topanga Canyon just someplace in LA? Anyway, I'm illiterate geographically, but great to have you here. And I think you had a looming question, or you had a question that wasn't answered. So let's either let me know or let's answer that question. Let's make sure we do. And now it's nice because I'm actually sort of more tied into the actual Twitch interface. It feels a little like we're on the same. It feels like we're on the same page because we're literally on the same page. Let's see here. Let me see. I can actually see myself live here. 4 seconds delayed, which I think 4 seconds is a pretty good delay level. I'm kind of enjoying that. Let's see here. And, oh, great, since I'm on Twitch, I can do all the emojis. These emojis appear when I actually do them. Oh, lovely. Okay, so you can do all these cartoons and whatever on the screen. Hey, extra features galore. That's lovely. So that's me without my matcha. This is me with my matcha. Lovely, folks. That's fun. Okay, I'm gonna stop playing with cartoons. Y'all can play with cartoons. Good times. They're right here in your message box, right on the far right. It's a little face, and yeah, good times. Okay. Most creative emoji combination wins the prize for today. Oh, P.S. Our plant here, you can't tell, and in fact, it might be messed up. Plant here is named Annie for Annie's kind time code clipping, which is basically just help figuring out when the hell things happen, so that in the playback we can actually have them in order. Yeah. So, folks, here's what I'm going to suggest. We're going to be meditating for 25 whole minutes. Now, if you can't do that, or if that sounds crazy to you, or you're just joining the stream and you're like, man, I didn't sign up for this shit. Understandable, but it's not that hard, and you could do a portion of it and then ditch. Thinking about frog, resident sleeper, exactly. So, folks, here we go. Find that nice, comfortable position that you can maintain in stillness for the duration of the meditation. So what happens when we meditate? So when we meditate, let me just tell you this, when we meditate, all sorts of stuff comes up. The mind gets distracted, we get annoyed, gets fidgety, we feel like we should be doing something else, all this sort of push and pull in these different directions, and all of that is part of the meditation. All of that is natural. And that's a very central key. It's natural. Meditation is effectively just observing nature. And there's so many, dare I say, bullshit sort of things that float around that I think they're good meaning, like our mind is supposed to be quiet, or we're not supposed to feel any emotions, or this kind of thing. All of that is untrue, at least from my perspective. My perspective says that all we're trying to do is experience nature with as little interference as possible. But distractions aren't interference, they're just nature. The interference we're talking about is really just unconsciousness. And even unconsciousness is nature, so there'll be times when you'll become unconscious, or you'll just drift away, and that's fine. Recognizing, hey, I just drifted away. That's lovely. Good thing that I noticed that. So the way that we're going to posture our bodies is in stillness, so arranging the knees lower than the hips, arranging the hips so that they're at the edge of the cushion or seated apparatus, so you can maintain stillness. And then we will begin. P.S. Maybe I'll ask this after, but we're playing with lighting today. We have the whole background lit up. Usually doesn't look like this. Let us know what you think. But maybe I should ask that later, so don't think about it. Just don't think about it. I'm going to do the rest of this guided meditation as a whisper, just to be extra creepy. Okay, folks, find that nice comfortable position and we'll begin. Beginning by taking a few comfortable deep breaths and just feeling the body rise and fall. Recognizing that there's no need to do anything at this moment. There's not even a need to meditate. Soaking into accepting. These are all things that might occur on their own. Concentrating, being aware. In this case, we don't have to do any of these. The mind is so often convinced that unless we have a particular purpose at any particular moment, that we're lost or need to find one immediately. So we have no need to have a purpose or a function in this moment. And the body-mind might crave for one, and that's fine. That's quite natural. Distractions may arise. Concentration may show us details of our experience. We may become unconscious at times. Awareness may show us large swaths of our sensory experience. There may be a sense that we're controlling our experience, directing our experience. And again, we just don't need to. This may occur. But for this brief time, we are free of that need. Sometimes the absence of this need is relieving, and sometimes it's anxiety producing. Both of these are natural. Neither one is a problem. And with as little effort as possible, as little intentional doing as possible, just for one moment, just knowing our sensory experience. not needing to capture every detail. Just for one instant, simply knowing the experience, effectively experiencing it. Playing with this very fine edge. Sometimes the system will simply know the experience on its own. So how much efforting is really required to simply know our experience? And typically this takes very little effort, very little doing to simply know the experience of what's occurring. And because it's so low effort, even if just for a moment, knowing our experience becomes very sustainable. Low energy usage. Because it's low effort, we can simply observe the system knowing itself. Awareness can be aware. Yes, this is awareness, knowing the experience. This is the sense experience as it arises. Perhaps this is the mind making a commentary or being distracted. Whatever experience arises, simply allowing it to be known. What if this knowing experience, this awareness, what if we recognize that there's this incredibly subtle and sublime kindness, almost imperceptibly different than the simple knowing. As though the awareness had one tiny charge, one tiny drop of welcoming. And noticing, if any, the effect that this has on the system, the experiencing. If the sheer contact of the awareness itself had the subtlest welcoming charge, like its own ultra subtle gravitational force, whatever is touched by this kind awareness is known and welcomed. Perhaps this kind awareness could function as a kind of resting place for the whole body-mind system. No matter what's occurring, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral, any clinging or aversion that arises, any distraction, any experience can find itself as though at home And maybe, just maybe, over time we can train the body-mind system to rely on, to be able to refer back to, to be supported by, to be held and welcomed by this kind awareness. It can so often seem that the body-mind, or any of the parts within the body-mind, are seeking something, or trying to find some kind of resolution. And what if the resolution they were looking for was simply to be known, to be treated as natural, to not need to be changed? Would these various parts of ourself know home? Would they know refuge if they found it? Anytime we develop a relationship, it begins by simply spending time together. Getting to know. if we met a friend that might be with us for a lifetime, that might be there for us no matter how joyful or difficult our experiences become. Would we be able to spend the time with them? To get to know them? And staying with the practice, staying in stillness, allowing a tiny bit of light to enter the eyes, eventually allowing them to rest on a single point as they fully open. Allowing the spaciousness of open eyes to be part of what awareness opens to, the same kind awareness. And letting this particular moment, this particular point of contact, be the great teacher that shows us everything we need in order to bring this practice into every aspect of our life. Okay, so if as much as possible staying with the momentum of that practice. This is one of the lovely things about when we practice, and that's part of the goal exactly, is that the momentum of the practice itself can carry forward into our everyday experiences. And so seeing if we can extend the practice itself out into our fingertips in the form of writing a little sentence or two or three about what that was like, what happened, and what do you like now. This is a powerful way to expand, elaborate, extend the practice, is to actually just do a little bit of on what the experience was like. And of course, any questions that arose. What the heck was that? So making any adjustments you need to allow the body to be comfortable. What on earth was that like? It's funny because I asked folks, I'm like, what was that like for you? And it's funny because I just spent 25 minutes describing exactly what it was like for me. So I definitely get a bit of an advantage there. I also want to let folks know that we have Zoom, and if people would prefer to use their voices, which is often a way to for me to be able to answer questions in more detail, I can put the Zoom in the chat, and that'll just mean that you'll be live with us. So what was that experience like? Let's see here. Where's my interface? What was that experience like, fellow dragons? So, what is the story here? Okay, great. So folks, let me know what those experiences are. And then what was the other thing? I was thinking about watching something here on the stream that was something I thought would be fun to watch. Oh, let me think about it. Let me think it through. Oh yeah, okay, Tomlin, thank you so much for letting folks know. We have a Discord. That is the link to the Discord. Very kind of you to do that. Let's set that up as a bot, by the way, so that you can, maybe that is a bot, actually. Maybe you already have something set up that will toss that in the command section, but with just one keystroke. But if not, we should set that up so we can just make that pop in. Maybe we already do. So yeah, folks, what was that like? What happened? What do you like now? What was the thing? I was thinking about watching something here on the stream, and I'm not remembering what it was. Excuse me. Beep up, beep up. I don't know. I don't remember. We'll come back to it. We'll come back to it. P.S. Speaking, I mean, we're on a gaming platform. I've been playing Half-Life Alyx, which is a 3D video game. It's super fun. That's what I was thinking about. One of the things I was thinking about was like, oh right, this is totally unrelated. That's what it is. So I have an improv group that I meet with that I like a lot, and I was thinking about like, would it be fun to, I don't know, do improv as or watch improv as a kind of a meditative process, because it is this weird way of like training the mind, shutting certain things off, letting other things flow. But that was part of the idea. It was something I wanted to do on this channel in general. But also I realized that I want to include potentially some other voices here. So I've thought about actually having other shows that would be live, but also just be deep mindfulness guides, other people who are teaching who are friends who we support, and that kind of thing. So folks, no pressure if people don't want to give reports. I'm not going to leave you in meditation detention. And if that's the case, that's fine. We can simply drift away into the ether and come back here in just a few hours. We'll be back here again in fewer than 48 hours. Okay, folks. So I don't want people to feel like they're in meditation detention, as always. So absent any more reports or anything, we're going to begin to transition. I'm doing so slowly because I feel like 3 reports are about to pop in. Okay, great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. So, wait, P.S., big announcement. This Wednesday, just 2 days from now, we have a special guest, Layla, also known as Aishin Leonard. And Aishin is a specialist in trauma-sensitive mindfulness, as well as mindfulness for chronic pain, which chronic pain folks are really good for answering questions, because it's not, ideally, it won't be theoretical for anybody, but it's not theoretical at all. You really need to deal with some real stuff very quickly. Okay. Nick says, someone interrupted me as usual, being at work. By the way, last Friday really did something impactful. Interesting. Okay, let's see what that is about. See, now they start rolling in. Okay, I did something impactful, but not sure about the details, but I spent the whole weekend feeling less of an urge to make thoughts and feelings pleasurable. Very interesting. That can be very helpful in life, which ironically increased the sense of peace, even during unpleasantness. Hey, listen, what more can you ask for, really? Less strain to change everything. Don't know if that makes sense. It makes perfect sense. I mean, what you're describing is a kind of functional equanimity, allowing the system to be, less of a need to make things be good or bad, and less of a craving experience, and that actually cooling out the system, which is lovely. Lovely indeed. Jean says, the only thing I have to share, this gets easier the more practice. Shocking. I know, exactly right. I know. That said, I still get distracted easily. Yeah, and just know that that's a matter of time. It's, like we're teaching Raquel to drive right now, and we're still in like the high school parking lot level of driving, and it's just like, okay, like just get comfortable hitting the gas and, going around in a circle in this middle school or whatever. And that's just where we're at. That's what it is, and it just takes repetition and repetition and repetition. And I feel so comfortable driving now that I can drive with one hand and have a conversation, whatever. But it is what it is. And he says, I felt a lot of resistance this morning. Okay, and remember, Annie, we've talked about this explicitly. The resistance is often really helpful information. So just know that that's. It's useful. It's useful data. It's not something you necessarily have to fight against. Resistance, get out of my face. Antsy, trouble focusing, wanted to stretch and move around a lot. Sometimes, honestly, it's like, as a meditation teacher, I want to say, well, yes, be still and this kind of thing. Sometimes we actually just need to stretch and move around a little bit. That could be really helpful. So, just something to consider. I shifted to my favorite metta phrase and tried to let the thoughts come and go. So that's actually very, very skillful. And I was actually considering entering a phrase in there and saying you can use whatever phrase you want, but I just didn't. I thought there would just be a little bit too much. And anytime you put one, what is it called? New factor, one, whatever. New variable, the rest of the meditation has to keep adjusting to that variable. So I didn't put that in there, but that's very skillful, and I'm glad that you did that. It's not as fun to report your meditation experience when it doesn't go as planned and is more turbulent. Well, listen, this is the thing that is really important. Your actual experience is the thing that is the most valuable. So it may not be as fun, but it is 100% more useful than just reporting, sunshine and this kind of thing. So just know that it's no sweat. Don't sweat it. No big deal. And it's actually great to report what actually occurred. That's the big central key here. Okay. Now, folks, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be back here in fewer than 48 hours. As always, it is a lovely delight to see you here, be here with you. And I'm very excited to see what unfolds over the next 48 hours. Let me know how this practice goes for you. If you want to do it again, you can jump over to our youtube.com/deepmindfulness2. Let's see if this, because we're not broadcasting now to anywhere else. So let's see what happens when I put the links thing in. Normally it posts this like 11 times, and I don't want it to post it any more than one. So let's see what happens here. I'm going to put in our links. These are all for our other channels. Everything's new now. New. What happens? Did it do the thing? No? What the fuck? Let's try here. Oh, it did. Well, it posted it 3 times. Twice. Okay, it posted it twice. Don't know why, but that's what happens. Oh, but it posted twice in this. Anyway, posted twice in the screen, but only once in here in Twitch. So that's good, I suppose. Okay, anyway, folks, As always, lovely to see you. I have a wish. A wish. Okay, folks, my wish for you is that right here in this present moment, as you're currently experiencing the world around you, I always wonder if people actually do this because I'm like explaining it, and I think it's interesting to watch. Sometimes I'll be like, oh, look at the world around you, and I think sometimes I'll watch myself in the video and I was like, I'm not looking around. I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna like listen to you, like I'm listening to the playback. I'm like, no, I'm not looking around. So the world around you right now, noticing the nuance and detail and high fidelity experience that this is. Weirdly, this experience keeps coming up. It seems like this has come up before, this weird, very, very high detailed, very nuanced experience. It seems like I've noticed something like this before, although never quite this particular arrangement. So that you can notice this particular experience in this particular moment, and that you're able to notice that which is knowing it, the awareness that takes it in, and seeing if we can connect with that part of the awareness that was very welcoming and rich and open, spectral. The kindness that is a welcoming awareness. Again, referring back to it as a kind of home, a resting place. Almost as though it's someone that we can rely on. This is the metta self, with both spellings of metta. Nick says, feeling the exclusive vibes. Interesting to see if work habits will put the old pattern firmly back in place. Very interesting. Okay, folks, lovely big lime, everybody. And take care of each other. Reason things out. Have fun, have a good time, and very excited to see everyone back here in fewer than 48 hours with our guest host, Layla Aishin Leonard. Okay, folks, have a lovely day. I look forward to seeing everyone soon.